isn't the best of all time. And so is TOC Sports for all your orthopedic needs.
Listen for Tom Abraham throughout the day on 97.7 The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen.
For Tom Abraham throughout the day on 97.7 The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood.
Appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Today's pros need today's tools, and nobody understands that better than the Home Depot. Our app makes it simpler to get supplies ordered and delivered. Our online project calculators cut guesswork and last-second supply runs. Job site delivery puts what you need where and when you need it. And rental puts the right equipment in your hands, but not your overhead. That's how today's pros get more done. New tech, new tools, old-fashioned hard work. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game. And now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
We need the forklift over here.
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Okay, those molds need to be adjusted. The shippers are coming at noon, so we got to get this done.
Like at Dennis's plastic startup. To stay flexible, he needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Not a bad ride in this morning. No wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problems to report. You be careful on that trip in. Hopefully we can keep it that way. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman is an easy-to-use oral device, insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. Doctor visits are important. Please don't put them off. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
NBA tonight, the Hawks on the road against the Knicks. Atlanta, a 1.5-point favorite, -120 on the opening money line. New York at +100, the over-under 218. Some money line movement on the main event of UFC 261 Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida. The challenger Jorge Masvidal at +315. The defending middleweight champion Kamaru Usman at -385. Baseball, the Braves at the Yankees again tonight. Atlanta +108 on the money line. The Yankees at -118, the over-under 9. Manager Brian Snitker said that Ronald Acuna's abdominal strain feels a lot better and that the team may have dodged a bullet. I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. for 97.7. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, Wolverine Dan is there. Michael.
And welcome in. It is another brand new live edition of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Welcome into our Wednesday edition of Talkin Ball. We have made it through the halfway point, and welcome in. We appreciate those that are watching us on Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch, and our YouTube channel. If you want to be a part of the show there, all you have to do on all of them is just give us a message. Send us a message in there on Twitter, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube, and we will read those periodically throughout the show if you send a message or a note in. As always, the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline is open to you, 256-576-4977. Again, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, and you can get in on the show this morning. We have got a ton of stuff to get through this morning. And what are we going to get through today? Well, ESPN, the FBI, ranks the toughest college football schedules for the upcoming season. Where does Alabama and Auburn land on this, and where do the rest of the SEC land, according to ESPN's
Grady?
FBI? Alabama has jumped into the name, image, and likeness waters. What does it mean? When will it take effect? And yesterday, there was a group of student athletes. There were 4 student athletes that met with Mark Emmert, the director of the NCAA, or the president of the NCAA. And wait till you hear the reaction from these athletes on what they got in a response from Mark Emmert. It's everything that we laugh about and make fun about Mark Emmert. It all came to fruition yesterday. Joe Lunardi has projected the top 4 seeds in next year's NCAA basketball tournament. I know. We are way, way, way early in regards to next year's NCAA basketball tournament, but Joe Lunardi has predicted the top 4 seeds already. So we'll run those down. Vegas has put betting odds on the first non-quarterback taken in next week's NFL draft. Again, today we got Mike Detillier coming on, so we're going to talk some more NFL draft. 8 days away. We're going to continue getting you ready for the NFL draft. But Vegas has put odds on the first player taken that's a non-quarterback. And we'll go over those. Auburn gets some good news on the hardwood. But before we dive into all of that, we want to remind everybody that there's 2 things. One, if you are in need of a sports physical, Saturday, May 1st, Sports Med will be doing physicals at the Trash Panda Stadium from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. All athletes from any school, club, grades 6 through 12, you're welcome to come on out there. It is just $10. All the money raised will go to Free to Teach. Again, Saturday, May 1st, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., you can get your physical. I know there's tryouts going on for certain sports for next year. Club sports getting ready to get underway. So if you need that physical, all you need to do is go out to the Trash Panda Stadium, Toyota Field, Saturday, May 1st. Mark it down, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. For just $10, you can get your physical made. All you need to do is make sure that you bring the form, the official copy of the state required physical form with you. That's all you got to have, and $10. Cash only, you can get your physical. So that we wanted to make sure that we let everybody know on that as well. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Did you say we had Randy holding? Grady. Oh, Grady is holding. Yes. And I want to get to Grady because last night I was sitting at home and Grady's mother, by the way, if you pay attention to Talking Ball during the football season, we have Grady the Greek on every Wednesday at 7:00. And Grady goes ahead, makes his picks for the college football season. And usually they're right on. But I got a message last night from Grady's mother. And if you head to our Facebook page at 977 ESPN, you can follow along with what we're about to go over. Grady's third grade class in Hartselle created a Rubik's Cube mosaic. And they made it to look like the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And what it is if you go to our Facebook page, you can do it. It is so cool. But I'm going to let Grady help us explain this a little bit more as Grady the Greek now joins us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, not picking a game, but needing everybody's help right now. Good morning, Grady.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good.
Are you anxious for school to be over?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I imagine we are in the heart of baseball season.
Sure.
How are we playing?
Sure.
Okay. How are we doing so far? Are we doing good? Is the team doing good?
We're doing okay.
Okay. Well, first of all, I saw your mosaic that you and your classmates built. That thing is pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
How long did it take you guys to do that?
I'd say about 3 weeks. I don't know.
Took you about 3 weeks. It's amazing. I tell you what, it's amazing and it's really, really cool. So you guys need likes, right? And you need votes to make this number one.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So what's going to happen if you guys get to number one? Do you guys get a prize?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, it is an amazing little thing. And now, for everyone that's listening, head to our Facebook page. It's the Spring 2021 Mosaic Contest. You vote for your favorite mosaic, and there's schools all around the country that have created these mosaics. And the one from Alabama is they created a Rocket City Trash Panda mascot. And my computer is moving slow, but it tells you how many Rubik's they use to create this mosaic. It is a thing of beauty. It's over 200, I believe. Is that right, Grady?
260.
You knew it exactly. Right on the head, 260. So Grady, whose idea was it, man?
It was my idea.
This was your idea.
There you go.
The whole school voted for that one.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm looking at it right now, and it's 260 Rubik's Cubes. It's 3x3, and it was made by Kim Jared's 3rd and 4th grade students from Barkley Bridge Elementary School there in Alabama. That is a thing of beauty, Grady, a thing of beauty.
Thank you.
And Grady, how long did it take for the two classes to get this done?
About 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. See, that's when school's fun, though. When you're
doing stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah. How many hours a day did you guys get a chance to work on it?
Well, it was gifted people, so
okay.
We're in there for like 3 hours, so we do different things.
There you go. Boom.
All right, Grady. That is awesome. You on your way to school right now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you have a good day, and we're going to urge everybody to head to our Facebook page, click on the Mosaic thing, and give this a like. I've looked down, and you guys right now are doing good. I think you have 103 likes and 20 shares so far, so we're off to a good start.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right, thanks, Grady. All right, Grady the Greek joining us for a good cause there. A beautiful Rocket City Trash Panda mosaic, 260 Rubik's Cubes. It
looks great, actually. You know?
Doesn't it?
Yes.
I sent it to Ralph Nelson, the owner of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, last night, too.
Oh, nice.
So we're helping spread the word. Speaking of congratulations, though, we need to give we always talk local sports, and when everybody wins, we need to give congratulations to Madison Academy, the 4A, 5A boys. They win the state tennis tournament there. Parker Jakes. I wonder where he gets his tennis skills from. He won the #1 singles championship for Madison Academy. I believe it's the first boys state tennis championship. They edged Lamp yesterday. They had a playoff over
from Montgomery. Lamp from Montgomery.
Yep. And so they edged there to win the 4A, 5A boys state title. And then St. John Paul II Catholic High wins the 4A, 5A girls state tennis champion. They won 3 single titles and a double title there. So congratulations to the 2 local winners, Madison Academy on the 4A, 5A boys stateside, and 4A, 5A girls, St. John Paul II. They win state tennis championships. So big news there. Parker Jakes, he's the son of Eddie Jakes, who we all know probably one of the best, if not the best, tennis players.
He's on the short list, brother.
Yes.
I just wonder if Parker's committed to Georgia yet. That's what I want to know.
Anyway, let's stay on the Neighbor's Wealth Management Hotline. Wolverine Dan with us on this Wednesday morning as well. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. I'm excited. For $10, you can get a physical.
Yep, that's right.
Well, yes, that's the best news for these high school kids. That is, that's great news.
And tour the stadium.
Yep.
And eat a trash can wrap or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Well, I need a physical because my blood pressure's through the roof because Joe Milton freaking left us, you traitor, going to Tennessee. And
he lost his job. He lost his job.
He's taking his Heisman and he's going to Knoxville.
Well, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. I can't wait till Alabama puts him on his back. Every time he does, I might do the RTR, baby. Yeah. No, I tell you what, Michigan has a national championship in gymnastics this year.
There you go.
Yes, they do. The first ever, I believe, women's national championship in gymnastics.
You like that?
It's good. It's a great accomplishment.
Well, that's good. Yeah, at least I can say I won a championship or something.
Yeah.
And it's going to be another mediocre year, buddy. It's going to be a horrible letdown. It's going to be 6 wins at the most, maybe 7. It's going to be awful. Same old crap every year, guys.
Well, maybe if you can give Harbaugh an extension, maybe. Oh, wait a minute. They did.
No, we've already got an extension. That was stupid. You might as well have like a bonfire and throw money in it.
Well, I was reading a long post last night from a Michigan board, and it sounds like some of them are really in favor of getting a new president. One that likes athletics.
You know what? Yeah, I agree. You know what? Maybe we should. We've got a former president right now that's sort of not doing much, so maybe we can ask him. Maybe I'd love to have him run my college.
Oh yeah, there you go. I mean, he certainly would not be afraid to ruffle feathers.
Yeah. Plus, I think he knows how to run a country, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that.
Yeah. Well, we got Bozo to con right now. You know that. So
Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, no, Bozo the Joe the Bozo.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, fellas, listen, I'm just, it's the same old. Boy, he's gonna do what he's gonna do.
So, what are you hoping for your Lions in the draft, Dan?
What?
So what are you hoping for the Lions in the draft? What do you want them to do?
Well, I'd like to beef up the defensive line a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd like to also add a little bit of beef to the offensive line.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't know. I think we're good. We're okay in other areas. I wouldn't say we're great. I mean, I think this coach. The last time we had a really winning coach was Wayne Fox, and he was the kind of guy, same kind of guy as Rah-Rah Sis Boom Bah. He was stirring up the players and patting them on the back and everything. Yeah. I think this guy's that kind of guy, which is good. But as far as the general manager, he's doing awesome. That big trade in the beginning of the spring or at the end of the winter.
Yeah.
It was a really good trade. And, and when you see something like that, that shows you that they're doing something right and it's going in the right direction. It might take a while, just like the Red Wings. The Red Wings, Stevie Eisman is making some great moves. And all that's going to do is just down the road, it's going to just increase the chances of us getting in the playoffs, both teams. So, I think it holds well. We'll see. And, of course, we got to play the season next year, or this year, I should say. But, I think, let's agree with me, Judy. I think we got a pretty good management now and a good coach for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, you got the number 7 pick overall. We'll see if they try to move up. I mean, or if they're going to stand pat. I mean, if a guy like Penei Sewell's there at 7, it's a big-time offensive tackle. I think it'd be a good fit for the Lions. I don't think there's a true game-changing defender. I mean, of course they could certainly use a corner. They could take Surtain with the 7th overall pick. But it's going to be. I mean, they certainly made, as you said, they made the huge trade. They're not 1 or 2 players away. I'm going to be interested to see how the new coach Dan Campbell in the front office kind of try to start building this team. If they're going to be aggressive and move up or down and see what they do, or if they're going to stand pat.
Well, I do like the trade. Again, the draft choices we're going to get in the future, and we got a pretty good quarterback from the Rams. But I'd like to see him trade down to get more players. I think we have more than just a couple holes to fill. So I think that would probably be beneficial for us to, get a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 or whatever picks and whatnot. I think.
Yeah, I agree, because I think if in one case, if Mac Jones doesn't go to the 49ers and he starts sliding a little bit, maybe someone like the Patriots decides to trade with Detroit and trade up and snag him, because I don't think he'll be there at 15. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
All right, man.
Well, yeah, okay. All right, man. Well, listen, fellas, awesome show as usual. Great job. And the young man before me, there's a future for him in radio.
Oh, I mean,
that's Grady the Greek.
Grady the Greek, man. He's the 3rd grader prognosticator. By next year, he'll be the 4th grader prognosticator. But that mosaic, Dan, you need to check that out. That Trash Pandas mosaic looks pretty good.
My wife, when she married me, she said I was a Greek god. I looked like one. Now I'm just a GD Greek.
Have a good day, Dan.
See you later, man. See you later.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot more NFL draft coming up here in just a few minutes, because Mike Detillier will join the show, and we got to get his reactions to everything that's going on with the NFL draft, because we had him on last week, but we're 8 days away from We're 8 days away from teams making their picks. So I tell you what, 7:20, we're going to have him on. Let's just get our break in now so we can get Mike Detillier on the other side as we start talking NFL draft.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We still don't have anything on the board accident-wise. That's good news. Enjoy the break while you got it, because it can change quickly. Right now, though, no wrecks, no stalls, no traffic signal problems to report. Routine care to heart failure. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Sitting here with my good friend, Scooter Rambo from Rambo Marine. Scooter, you've been in business for 27 years. What sets you apart from other dealers?
Well, Wes, probably the biggest thing is that when we tell a customer that we're going to have their boat ready on Tuesday, it's ready to go. We try to make sure we always deliver what we promise to the customers, because the key to our success has been the service that we offer, the way we take care of people, and they can have the confidence in us that when they do business with Rambo Marine, we will always be there.
Dockside service. Who else does that?
Well, sir, hardly anybody does it well. We do that. That's, again, one of our strengths. We can handle most repairs right there at their dock. Some things have to go back to the shop. The main thing is, one way or another, if it can't be done there, we'll take it to our store. We'll get it fixed. It'll be back there. It'll be ready for them when they're ready to go.
Rambo Marine, how do you get in touch with you?
Best way, Wes, RamboMarine.com has got phone numbers, hours, all of our contact info, emails as well.
Contact Scooter today.
You know it, and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't in the budget. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. A 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, before you leave in your Gold certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blades. Gold certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Mike's on.
All right, 7:23 on this Wednesday morning. Welcome back. Time for us to continue getting you ready for the NFL Draft. We are 8 days and counting away from the NFL Draft in Cleveland this year. Should have a crowd there. It's going to be a little more electric, but what will be electric? Will it be the picks that we're talking about? Will there be trades that night that'll make it electric? What is going to happen? We don't really have suspense probably with the first 2 picks.
Not at all.
It's 3 through the rest maybe that we have some suspense with.
Yeah, and where we could see some movement. I think we understand the top 2 picks with it, who's going there and those 2 QBs. And it's going to be a QB-heavy draft in the top 10. And who better to continue to break it down than our great friend Mike Detillier from WWL 870 Radio, New Orleans, Louisiana, SaintsReport.com, M&D Draft Report. He is everywhere this time of year and we always enjoy our time with him and his knowledge as he's taken a few minutes to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Mike, you're with Drew and Scott. Good morning, man. How are you, man?
Good morning, guys.
Mike, we've been talking about that pressure point, the 3rd pick, San Francisco. You always told us this is the silly season. This is misinformation. Everybody, you really can't believe anything you hear publicly. I know we've seen Trey Lance now have a second pro day. We've seen Justin Fields. Mac Jones had a couple. Where do you think we stand right now with the 49ers?
Listen, I've always felt from day one it would be Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so until the horse moves me, that's where I'm going to roll.
Mm-hmm.
That's just I think it's a bit of a split decision here. I do think that's the guy John Lynch wants. But I think with Kyle Shanahan, he would much rather have Mac. It's just a matter of opinion on where you want to go with this. And so I do think that it's a bit of a split opinion, and I do know who signs the check.
Well, with that being said, then there's no suspense in 1 and 2. That 3 pick is there. Do you think we will see 4 quarterbacks? I mean, the closer we get to draft day, will there be 4 quarterbacks taken with the first 4 picks?
It's only happened twice for 3,
It's never happened with 4. But this is just my feeling on it.
Yeah.
If it's Mac at 3, then I think Atlanta's going to deal that pick. And it'll be a 4th. It's just seemingly that makes the most sense at this particular point. Atlanta's the biggest, as to me, is the really intrigue point. Because no matter what happens, Atlanta's biggest need is on the defensive side of football. They could use basically any position on defense, but there's not a guy there that you're going to pick at 4 that makes any sense. So a trade back would, to me, make the most sense. But are you going to pass on Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, that's my question, Mike, because to me, he could be the best player in the draft. And I know the Falcons' defense is terrible, but you've got Julio Jones, you've got Matt Ryan. You say you're going to stick with him for a couple more years. At least that's what we've been hearing. And then you've got Calvin Ridley. Why not add Kyle Pitts and just continue to try to win now? Because to me, if you take a quarterback, you're rebuilding, and I don't think that's what Julio Jones and Matt Ryan want to hear.
Well, but that, with a new regime in place, they can have that argument and make that go, because they have no loyalty to Matt Ryan, none. And we've seen it this year where teams jettison a veteran quarterback, and so that wouldn't be out of the ordinary. But man, Pitts is in such an intriguing player, because you could now put, Ridley, Julio Jones, Pitts out on the field. And you got some serious weaponry on the offensive side of the football. That doesn't help your defense worth a damn, but certainly, man, scares the heck out of everybody else that you're going up against at that particular point. So that 4th pick to me is much more because I know the 49ers are going to pick a quarterback. It's just depending on who it is. With Atlanta, it's a lot more of let's try to figure this out. Because are you going to get a deal that you can't turn down? Could you deal down just maybe 4 spots and still end up with the top 4? Because I think you'll see the 5 quarterbacks go and within the top 10 picks. Okay, you're going to see that happen. And then you figure with Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase, that takes you, and Penei Sewell, that takes you to 9.
Yeah.
You can get any of the defensive players at that particular point. And you multiple players away. You're just not one player away on defense. So there's a lot of options there. And with Terry Fontenot in charge, again, with the new regime, they don't have any loyalty to any of these players. None. He's really in the catbird seat here.
Cincinnati, to me, is also an intriguing pick at number 5 because they have so many needs and so many questions. Do you go with a wide receiver like a Jamar Chase to let Joe Burrow throw to, or do you go to someone that needs to protect Joe Burrow, and go with a Penei Sewell along the offensive line?
Well, I think that's an obvious one. I think you go with Sewell.
Yeah.
As much as, I think of Jamar Chase, and I've seen him since he was probably 15 years old as a high school player. I would sit Joe down and say, hey, listen, I get that you want Jamar, and it would be great for us to have, but I need you upright. And, and this, I heard one of the national guys say, well, They went out and get Riley Reef for tackle. Riley Reef's 33 years old. Come on. And Riley Reef's not the type of guy that is a signature tackle in this league. He's been solid, but he ain't been a signature guy. I need somebody that's going to protect Joe. And I think that's obvious, that you go with Penei Sewell, and he can come back in round 2 and grab you a receiver. But, man, you get a guy like Sewell, you go ahead and you take him. And I think it at least helps you up front, give an opportunity for Joe to stay a little bit healthier. I'm not sure if I'm not the Bengals. I wouldn't seriously think about using my first and second round pick on offensive linemen.
Wow.
Because, listen, if I can't keep him healthy, it does me no good. No matter what I have weaponry-wise, and I've got T. Higgins, who I think is a pretty good player, and Tyler Boyd's a pretty solid receiver. But if I don't keep Joe Burrow healthy, I got zero chance to win. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to be able to protect him. And I wouldn't be surprised that, the way the Bengals think, that's not out of the realm of possibility, that they would go back-to-back offensive line.
And Mike, I know you just stated to us you think all 5 quarterbacks are going to go in the top 10. Obviously, Mac Jones could go 3, but if he doesn't, that sets off perhaps Trey Lance, then Justin Fields potentially. Mac could slide. Could we see someone like the Patriots, who are not known for being aggressive and moving up? I was looking at Detroit. They have a lot of needs. Could that be another pressure point where we see New England move into the top 10 and potentially take Mac?
It's not been something they've done.
Right.
But, this offseason, they went out and were very aggressive in free agency. So I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility. I think Detroit's another spot for Mac Jones if he doesn't go at 3, because of Anthony Lynn has a connection with Mac, with people that he works out with. So, now Anthony Lynn being the new offensive coordinator with the Lions. So I wouldn't rule that out. The other team, too, is Washington. Can't tell me Ryan Fitzpatrick is the long-term answer at quarterback there. And, man, listen, they loaded on defense. They are a talented defensive team, and they've got a few pieces of the puzzle on offense that you could maybe piece something together to move into that top 10 to grab a Mac Jones or a Justin Field or Trey Lance, whoever. Yeah, I think that's a lot of talk about New England. To me, I got to see it to believe it. Almost because we haven't seen it in the past. Now, we've seen Washington make a maneuver. I think Detroit is the hiding team that could go after a quarterback. Because, listen, we all know one thing. Jared Goff is a one and done. He's going to play 1 year in Detroit, and he's out of there. And so he's the bridge for the next quarterback. And I think that's a spot that don't be shocked that they go quarterback, especially if Mac is available. Because Anthony does have a connection to people that work with Mac Jones at these quarterback camps.
Interesting. Great info and a little nugget there from Mike Detillier as we are talking with him. NFL Draft this morning on ESPN's 97.7 The Zone's Talkin Ball. It's interesting. I was just thinking about this draft, Mike. Is this the least amount of star power that we think as far as elite talent amongst the front 7 as there's been in a long time? Because you just talked about it. There's not really a defender, a pass rusher, even a defensive tackle, because Christian Barmore is considered probably at the top of the list. That's an elite player. It's kind of mystifying a little bit.
Well, because I think you can make a pretty strong argument the two best defensive players are Patrick Surtain from Alabama,
right,
and Michael Parsons from Penn State. Michael didn't even play last year. He opted out. Now, he's got a chance to be a special player. The one guy that, if it wouldn't be for the injuries, I think would be considered in that realm also, and that's Jalen Phillips from Miami of Florida. I would have some concerns about him. I think the world of him as a player. But here was a guy who was the most highly recruited defensive player in the country coming out of high school in California. He goes to UCLA. He has 3 concussions. He quits football after medicals sort of led him to that decision. And then he comes back and he has a great season for Miami. The way the NFL is in the concussion situation, man, I'd have to think about that real hard. But he's got a chance to be a special player because of his pass rush skills. And so it's going to come down to Surtain and Micah Parsons for the first defensive player. So it's been a while. Because normally there's a top defensive lineman that you say, man, that guy's really good, and I can't pass on him. But you can't say that this year. It's an unusual year there, but every draft kind of has its own little pattern. And this year is no different. It's got its own little pattern of how it's going to go. Now, there'll be defensive players selected, but early on, this is a quarterback, Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase jump.
We've talked a lot about the top 5 quarterbacks. Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones. We've talked all about the 5, Justin Fields. Where does a guy like Kyle Trask, where does a guy like Kellen Mond fit into?
Well, we've been hearing a lot about Davis Mills.
Yeah,
Stanford.
Fit into this draft.
Man, Davis Mills. I want to see who's promoting him. That guy should get a raise. And I don't mean to knock Davis Mills, but have anybody watching him at at Stanford said, man, that guy's a big-time prospect? Now, he was a big-time high school prospect coming out, and he's had some injuries. But, man, on the promotion tour, this is like a low-budget movie that's being hyped up. I've not seen anything at Stanford to sell me on Davis Mills is a big-time prospect. Nothing. And listen, I've watched a lot of Stanford football, Pac-12 football, so I can tell you that. Man, but to listen to some of these guys, you'd swear he's the next John Elway. Man, I don't get that at all. And what he does is so at the lowest level, so to speak, of play calling. A lot of it is check downs. A lot of it is real short passes. Again, I don't understand it one bit. But it's that hype season, and they got some people that'll believe anything. But they ain't snowing me with that. Kyle Trask is an interesting player because physically he's got what you would want in a quarterback. He's a big man. He's got a real live arm. He's accurate. He's tough. He's immersed in it. But I do think a couple games sort of showed you the issues he's going to have in the NFL. And if you watch the LSU game a year ago and the bowl game against Oklahoma, they both did the same thing. They hit him with some pressure points and took away the short game from him and forced him to he needed to move around. And he panicked. And, he either got sacked or he turned the ball over. And I think it sort of showcased what's going to happen in the NFL. That if you don't have this ability to get away from heavy traffic, you got a lot of issues. And I think those two games really sort of opened the Pandora box of this is what's going to happen in the NFL. I still think he's going to go probably in the second round, but I think it keeps him at round one. Kellen Mond, I've seen the good, the bad, the real good, and the real ugly, and all in one series with him at A&M. He's got a tough disposition. Anytime you play for Jimbo, man, listen, Jimbo rides you pretty hard. He's always been like that with quarterbacks. So I know one thing: Kellen Mond's a mentally tough guy, and he's a sharp guy. But he's wildly erratic. You watch him in games where he's almost like a pitcher gets on the mound. And you can tell after the first 2 or 3 pitches if this is going to be a good game for him. And you watch the first couple throws from Mond, and you can tell if he's going to be hot or not. Now, if he gets the ball over the strike zone the first couple times, you got issues. But a lot of times it's not that way. I just think you don't break up being an erratic quarterback. I think it's always there with you. But he's, I think, a great leader. He's mentally tough. He's got movement skills. He can get away from pressure. He can slingshot it pretty good now. But, again, I think that's part of his game is that bit of up and down that he has with him. But they always have a Dr. Phil head coach that thinks he can cure him of that.
Yeah, no doubt. And, Mike, I wanted to ask you about a guy that you and I both liked coming out of college. But the buzz you hear is that this organization, once again, may hit the reset button, trade up, or if one falls to them, take a quarterback. What is Drew Lock's long-term future in Denver, and are they one of these teams that may take one of the 5?
I think they're a team interested in getting there. With Drew, he is who he is. He's going to be another groove type passer. That you catch him in a day that he's hot, he'll carve you up. But we've seen the other side of that too, that he's wildly erratic. Again, he was like that in high school. He was like that in Missouri. He's like that in the NFL. Okay, you're not going to change that with him. So either you live with that or not. I mean, they've surrounded him with a lot of talent at Denver offensively. But you do have a defensive-oriented coach with Vic Fangio.
Yes.
And so I think they're going to give him enough leeway that if he's really banging the drum for another defensive guy, they'll go that route. If not, I think they're in the mix for one of those quarterbacks. Because if they don't get this right, Vic's a defensive coordinator somewhere next year.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's not going to survive this. Not in the AFC West. You know, not with Kansas City the way they are. You know, he's not going to survive this. Now, you know, you might survive against the Raiders, and you might survive against a sort of rebuild and with the Chargers in L.A., but you're not surviving that against the Chiefs. So, and listen, I've known Vic for a long time, you know, because he was here as a defensive coordinator under Jim Moore in the 80s. So he was a guy that, man, he knows his stuff as a linebackers coach. You know, he coached the Dome Patrol here, and so he's he knows defense. But the quarterbacking situation, if he doesn't straighten that out, it'll sink his boat.
No doubt about it. But, Mike, we always enjoy the conversation, man. Great stuff on the draft. We hope that we can touch base with you again next week before the NFL draft begins on Thursday to get some last-minute buzz from you. But we always love talking the prospects and who's going to go where. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year in the anticipation. Certainly, it's going to be another great NFL draft in Cleveland. But let everybody know how they can connect with you and of course your outstanding draft report. And we always appreciate the conversation.
It'll be saintsreport.com, MikeDetillier.com, WWL.com, and that's a lot of comms in there.
We know you're going to be busy, my brother. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all take care.
Mike Detillier helping us break down the NFL draft. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to continue the NFL draft. Vegas has put odds on the first non-quarterback taken.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They were looking at the traffic signal at 72 and Jeff. Apparently, it's slow changing this morning. HPD may call signal engineers for that one. Everything else looks pretty good this morning. You have to go all the way to Arkadelphia to find direct. You could get Popeye Shrimp Tackle Box or the Surf and Turf for $5. That's 8 crunchy buttermilk shrimp or 4 regular shrimp, a side, and a biscuit. Popeye's, Jordan Lane, North Parkway, and 72 at Jeff Road. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is West Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well-trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. As we all get back to a new normal, I just wanted to let you know about the best bar and grill spot in North Alabama with the best entertainment as well. It is the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Every Monday night is steak night. Every Thursday night is bike night. Plus, we have the best food around, from the Mexican pasta to the best Cuban sandwich you could ever ask for. It's all at the Furniture Factory, located at the corner of Meridian and Pratt. Find us online, FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Want to call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline? We have a new number for you, 888-256-576-4977.
Hold it, hold it!
That's 256-576-4977.
Well, what do you know?
We promise this number will be the one we keep. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hey, it's me, your cousin, from Boston. I'm on the radio doing ads for Sam Adams. Now I'll be known as the Sam Adams guy instead of the dude who fell in the quarry. Sam Adams Boston Lager is crisp and refreshing, which is why I bring a six-pack wherever I go, except the movies anymore. Sam Adams, from Boston with love. Here's the legal part. Watch how fast I can read. The Boston Beer Company, Boston, Mass. Drink responsibly. Now, is that 30 seconds? Are we even close?
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com. We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Okay, we have 8 minutes to the music, Michael.
All right, 7:49 on this Wednesday morning. We just had Mike Detillier on talking about the NFL draft, and we have heard a lot of people, a lot of NFL so-called experts, we all just call them experts, talk about Mac Jones, on how they would take Mac Jones 3, best tape, everything. Well, not everybody is going to agree that Mac Jones should be number 3. I mean, that's going to happen, right? I mean,
Right.
that's normal. Ryan Clark today, this morning on ESPN, talked about who he would take with the 3rd pick.
I would say take Justin Fields. And you know what, Keith? Throughout this process, I've been made to feel stupid. Every time I hear a report about Mac Jones being a perfect fit and all these amazing things that Mac Jones can do, I'm like, dang, man, am I watching the wrong film? I mean, did Justin Fields in 2019 not account for 50 regular season touchdowns with only 1 interception? I mean, is the kid not 6'3", 220 pounds, a 4'4" guy, a guy that if I'm a linebacker, corner, Key, or if I'm a strong safety and I'm curl flat in cover 3 and you've now run a bootleg with him and George Kittle, I feel like I'm in a pickle. And so when you make a move to number 3, Key, you don't make that move saying, you know what, there are 3 guys there that could fit. This is the best fit. No, you say there are 3 guys there who won't be picked. This is the greatest talent. This is the best player. This is the player with the highest ceiling that can win us a Super Bowl. And that's Justin Fields.
Well, all I got to say is it ain't 2019. Did he get better? Didn't look like it to me, bruh. Mac Jones sure did. And what they don't give Mac any credit for is he's only been a starter for a year. The more he plays, the better he's going to get. He sure as hell whipped Justin Fields' ass in the national championship game. And don't give me this BS about him having crack ribs. He played in the game. Mac Jones wasn't 100% when he finished the game. He limped off the field. But he dissected Ohio State. And don't give me this crap about COVID either. It's not my fault. I mean, and that's another thing that pisses me off because they don't ever mention the fact that Mac didn't have his whole supporting cast. All they do is, he had a first rounder here. Not by the time the game was over. Okay? And he still shredded Ohio State. I'm sorry. I do think Justin Fields is worth the first round pick. But if you're the 49ers, they're acting like Mac Jones is not a first round talent. He absolutely is. He proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And he would be a better fit for the San Francisco 49ers. Because if you want to go there and say, well, Mac Jones is a product of the system, you know what I could say? When's the last Ohio State quarterback that was worth a damn in the NFL? You have to go back a long time. Okay? They weren't. Because look, we were sold Dwayne Haskins was already gone. Had it on a silver platter with the Redskins, and he flopped. Okay, so to me, I'm not sold on the Urban Meyer / Ryan Day offense getting you ready to be an elite quarterback in the NFL because it hadn't happened yet, my friends.
Mac Jones, you made a point. Mac Jones has started 1 year.
Yes.
Mitch Trubisky started 1 year.
And they're going to bring that up.
I know. So what's the difference between in the eyes? I should have got Mike's opinion on it.
And accuracy, man.
Yeah.
Because I watched Mitch Trubisky. Right away, he wasn't accurate. And to me, from the neck up, Mac Jones is superior. That's where he's going to separate himself in this draft, in my opinion. Because if he goes to the right organization, I think the 2 best fits for Mac Jones are San Francisco, and if they don't take him, then Denver getting him.
Okay. And
either trading up or maybe he falls all the way to Denver and then a bunch of people look like morons. But, of course, we name morons all the time on this show.
We do.
But I think that Denver has a lot of talent around him as well where he could do a good job and he would not be as erratic as Drew Lock.
Okay. Well, Las Vegas has put odds on. Of course, they put odds on everything, as we like to say. The first non-quarterback taken in next week's NFL draft. And it could be the Atlanta Falcons at number 4 taking that first non-quarterback. And if they do, Kyle Pitts is your guy that you say they should take. He has the best odds at plus 130 to be the first non-quarterback player off the board. Second is Penei Sewell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, those 3, and then third is Jamar Chase. So those 3 right there, probably no big surprise. Then it's Rashawn Slater of Northwestern.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about him a lot. We've been talking about Sewell. That's another guy probably we need to
offensive
touch
tackle
on next week and in the coming days. Because he's been receiving a lot of buzz lately.
The first Alabama player, according to Las Vegas, that has the best odds. Yeah. Or I don't know if it's the first, but it's the one that they listed next, is Patrick Surtain at plus 2,000 to be off the board early. So those are some odds. And then Micah Parsons of Penn State is a plus 2,000. So Surtain and Parsons have the same odds of going there. But Las Vegas putting early odds on who's going to be the first non-quarterback because obviously the first 3 picks of this year's NFL draft will be quarterbacks.
That's a guarantee. I mean, we know it's just with the 49ers, which one are they going to draft? All I'll say about Ryan Clark is if Mac Jones had an LSU helmet on, I think we know exactly what the hell he'd be saying. Because I'll put Mac up against Joe Burrow any day of the week.
Wow.
And I think Joe Burrow has a chance to be a great player. He was a great player at LSU. I'm not sliding him in that way. I'm just saying because you hear him say, well, Joe Burrow is more athletic. Oh, hell, not much more. I think they're in the same realm. And Joe Burrow, much like Mac, very cerebral dude, man. Now, they need to surround him with better players in the crap hole known as Cincinnati. But, if they do, I think he'll be successful, and he can do what Carson Palmer did and get them back to the playoffs. But, again, I think you can line Mac Jones up. Because look, Ryan Clark is taking shots at Mac Jones because, of course, he's gotten his ass whooped 9 out of 10 against Alabama with LSU. He spent a year lollygagging around, yelling and screaming and hollering for LSU. Well, they burn it to the ground in Baton Rouge again, okay, because they own property taxes on your ass there. There is no question about that. But, I mean, I just think he's kind of going out of his way to not credit Mac Jones at all, which I think is crap. Yeah, but of course, it's typical. But, I mean, now Marcus Spears, his compatriot, has, praised Mac some. But I think Ryan Clark has gone out of his way to punch holes in Mac's game. And, it is what it is.
Well, we are less than just about 1 week away from that NFL draft. And there's going to be guys, like I said, there's going to be guys that are going to sit on both sides of the fence here. And that's what these experts right now are getting paid to do. Pick apart these picks, and Mac Jones will get picked apart. He'll get heaps of praise on him, and he'll get picked apart. And that's just what's going to happen between now and next Thursday.
I've already been sent a message. Devontae Smith weighed 166 pounds. Watch the tape. Who cares how much he weighs? Did he get hurt a bunch at Alabama? No. You're nitpicking and being stupid.
Volman.
All right, let's get to break. Volman, when we come back, we will get to you right away. We got basketball to talk about in the second hour. We've got football to talk about. The conversation belongs to you when we return.
20 seconds.
Top of the hour.
Want to call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline? We have a new number for you. 888-256-576-4977.
Hold it!
That's 256-576-4977.
Well, what do you know?
We promise this number will be the one we keep. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporting new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
DZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Good morning from the traffic center. Got a couple of traffic signal problems this morning. Bob Wallace and Sparkman apparently is flashing. They've called for signal engineers there. 72 and Jeff Road, it's a long cycle there. They've asked signal engineers to take a look at it. Snelling needs an experienced materials handler. Second shift, $13 to $15 an hour. It's a direct hire opportunity. Resumes to jobs at SnellingHSB.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Baseball, the Braves at the Yankees again tonight. Atlanta plus 108 on the money line. The Yankees at minus 118. The over-under 9. Manager Brian Snitker said that Ronald Acuna's abdominal strain feels a lot better and that the team may have dodged a bullet. NBA tonight, the Hawks on the road against the Knicks. Atlanta a 1.5-point favorite. Minus 120 on the opening money line. New York at plus 100. The over-under 218. Some money line movement on the main event of UFC 261 Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida. The challenger Jorge Masvidal at plus 315. The defending middleweight champion Kamaru Usman at minus 385. I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Okay, Hallman's still there. Mike's on.
All right, as always, this segment of Talking Ball brought to you by our very good friends over at Terrell Technical Services Incorporated. They offer a full line of environmental health and safety services, including industrial hygiene, asbestos, mold, and bacterial services, Legionella testing and water management plans, lead-based paint inspection assessments and abatement plans, environmental site assessments, LEED-certified air testing, and more. Their staff does hold all U.S. EPA accreditations and nationally recognized certifications and credentials to necessitate your project to completion. Give Terrell Technical Services a call today at 256-461-9278 to discuss your environmental health or safety needs. And let's kick off hour 2 by going straight out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Ballman with us on a Wednesday morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Ballman. How are you, man?
I'm very good. Hey, I'm curious as to I listened to Colin Cowherd earlier on one of your promos, and he's talking about there's only 2 tackles in this draft that are worth drafting. Now, I'm having a hard time with that because there's a young man from Tennessee. His name's Trey Teague. I don't know if anybody got a chance to see him, or Trey Smith. I didn't know if anybody got a chance to see him play or not. But he's pretty good.
Well, I think with Trey Smith, I think they've got him as a guard. I think that's why. It's not that he's not an elite player, but I think because I've seen him in some first round mocks, man, and I do think if the medicals check out, because he had the blood clot issues. If the medicals check out, I think he has a chance to be an outstanding guard. But they're considering him an inside guy and not an offensive tackle, and that's why.
That's weird to me because he played tackle his entire career. I mean,
they have him listed as a guard.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, well, then that makes better sense then at least. But what about the kid from Alabama, Leatherwood? Is he not going in the draft?
He is, but just he's not going to be a first rounder. He once again, it's just like when I was ranting at the end of hour 1 about people complaining about Devontae Smith's weight. You go and watch him rewrite the record books, get open against countless guys that are going to be pros and highly drafted. He shredded all of them. And now they want to try to talk about his durability, which to me is crap. But I
think he's the second. I think he's the second coming to Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. And then, but you look at it, and that's with Leatherwood. He's not 6'6", he's not 6'7", he's really more like 6'4". He doesn't have the wingspan they're looking for with some of them. Now, personally, when I saw him play guard at Alabama, he looked like a fish out of water at times. I think what he is he's someone that can play right tackle. I think he's going to be a right tackle in the league, but, he's not considered in the same category as those top 2 guys. And so I think he's probably going to be a second rounder. If he's a third rounder, he's an absolute steal, but I think he's probably going to go in the second round, hopefully to a team that needs a plug-and-play guy. We even talked to John Frary yesterday from St. Augustine, and he is, of course, covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. He said he would welcome Alex Leatherwood. Of course, he's from Pensacola, but he said he would welcome him back to his native state to play opposite of Cam Robinson, have bookend Alabama tackles there on the left and right side, because the Jags are going to need to protect Trevor Lawrence, no question about it.
you got any idea where they think Trey Smith will end up going?
Well, I saw him in a couple of mocks in that 25 to 32 range, which would be with a playoff caliber team more than likely, and he would be, someone. If you're drafting, Trey Smith in the first round, you're planning on starting him. So he would get an outstanding opportunity. I thought he was a really good player at Tennessee. I mean, he was victim of, his name was hot going into last year. And then when they won the first two games, they were ranked 16th in the country. Then things kind of fall apart and people don't talk about you. But he's an outstanding player, no doubt about it.
Well, better than that, he's an outstanding human being. I can tell you right now, I got an opportunity to meet the young man.
Yes.
And he was beyond nice. Let's put it that way. First of all, he's huge. Okay, he could probably rip me apart with his hands if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But other than that, he didn't appear. He's just very kind, just a gentle giant, I guess is the way I would put it. And I hope he does well. I really do. And I hope whoever gets him is going to get a leader. They're not just going to get a football player. So that's what I like most about him.
I mean, and he mentioned, and Volman, you mentioned how good of a human being he is. At the pro day, at Tennessee's pro day, he bench pressed 225 pounds 32 times, which is great, fantastic. But by doing that, he raised more than $4,100 for uplifting athletes to help people dealing with rare diseases. He wound up doing 2 more reps than he had hoped for because he was inspired by people he trained with. But he raised over $4,000 just in the bench press alone for uplifting athletes.
And I wanted to make sure to double check this for you, Vol, man, to let you know. The last 2 years at Tennessee, he started every game at left guard. So that's why he was a tackle when he first got to Tennessee, but they moved him inside. And so that's why you don't see him on any offensive tackle board. And the guards, unfortunately, are not as coveted in some ways as tackles, but I still think Trey Smith is a great talent. And if he does slide out of round 1 to round 2, somebody's going to get a really good player.
I agree with you at 100%. I just hope he goes to a contender. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and as far as Dan goes, tell Dan I'm sorry we took his Michigan quarterback. We didn't really want to take him. And it's we already got a long line of them in the room now. So
right.
And we got one that's still in trouble, and hopefully he's going to
Caden Salter. Right. Yeah.
Hopefully he gets out of the doghouse because I can't wait to see this kid play because I've seen highlights of him in high school and he looks incredible. So,
well, thank you, Ball man. We appreciate the call.
Thanks for the call. All right, let's stay with the sports theme, but we need to talk high school because yesterday Governor Kay Ivey signed it and it's official. Alabama has joined the name, image, and likeness race with all the states so far that will aim to let college kids take advantage of their name, image, and likeness. The bill was the sponsor of Kyle South, a Republican from Fayette. It is all passed. Now, the thing is they say that the compensation rules won't apply until the NCAA adopts bylaws allowing payments, but athletes in the state of Alabama are eligible to take advantage of their name, image, and likeness. Now, this is where the NCAA gets confusing a little bit because there were 4 athletes yesterday that sat down with our favorite person, Mark Emmert, the director or the president of the NCAA. And they asked Mark Emmert, the question was asked, when will you make a decision on all the name, image, and likeness? Mark Emmert reiterated that he wants Congress to make the decision. He says he was very direct, saying that we both know, and Bohannon told him, the basketball guard from Iowa said, we both know Congress won't act with it, and the longer we wait, the more the complex issues become. Emmert then said, he asked them what would happen. The only question then is that what would happen if athletes from Florida, Alabama, or something like that would would he be okay with them taking advantage of their name, image, and likeness because they already had it? And Mark Emmert said, well, if they go ahead and do that, we can't punish them. So, while Alabama says they will wait until the NCAA approves it, Mark Emmert says, well, if they go ahead and do it for next year, we're not going to punish them for taking advantage of name, image, and likeness.
Well, of course not.
So that is something that could happen in the state of Alabama next season. We could see athletes take advantage of name, image, and likeness here in the state.
Yeah, we definitely could. I mean, we'll see what happens. But you can't penalize, a state for doing that, especially when the NCAA has basically sat on their hands for years and not tried to do anything and just basically avoided the issue. So, that's one of those things where it's just something that needs to be dealt with. But as usual, is the NCAA, reactionary? Yes, as always. They're not proactive. They're reactionary. And so that shouldn't surprise anyone. I'm glad Alabama and the state is getting ahead of this. Certainly, I think it'll be tweaked and things of that nature, but at least they're not going to tie the hands of Nick Saban and Brian Harsin when Gus Malzahn and everyone is putting Twitter accounts on the back of people's jerseys. So at least you're dealing with it straight ahead. And there's some other breaking news too. Just now, Alabama has had their second player declare for the NBA draft without hiring an agent. We talked about Jaden Shackelford, who did it last week and is going through the process. Now, I would have thought it would have been Javon Quinterly, and he could still do so, but it's not. It's Josh Primo, the Canadian, who has now declared for the NBA draft, but not hired an agent to go through the process. So Alabama has had two guys now, Scott, coming off that SEC championship to test the waters.
And staying with that basketball theme, Auburn yesterday getting news, getting a pair of news, actually, that one player will return that has put his name in the draft, and then Bruce Pearl yanking somebody out of the transfer portal from the SEC as well.
Well, Jake Crane's been saying they wanted a third guard and that they were in the mix for that, and they still want to see what happens with JT Thor. Some believe he may stay in the draft. He has not hired an agent, but you look at it, and Alan Flanagan returns. He's not testing the waters. He's already announced he will return to Auburn. Had a really solid sophomore year, one of the most improved players in the SEC. And then they add a guy who torched Auburn a couple of years ago with the Arkansas Razorbacks. This year, he lost his starting job, and that's Desi Sills. He's a very experienced guy from Jonesboro, Arkansas, a guy that was really a 3-year player for them, 2-year starter, didn't start this year for most of the season. So he moves on. He graduate transfers to Auburn, really. So Desi Sills will be eligible immediately and will help Bruce Pearl. Very experienced guy within the SEC. So
he averaged
that roster getting better for Auburn.
He averaged 7.5 points a game this past season, but his best 2 games of the year and the only 2 20-point games of the season he had this year were against Auburn.
So his whole career, he's played well against Auburn.
Yeah.
So he's really impressed Bruce Pearl. And so he will move on to the Auburn Tigers.
And on the women's basketball side, Alabama loses a grad transfer to Baylor.
Yes, they do. Jordan Lewis.
Yes,
they're one of their 2 best players. Of course, the other one was the 7th pick in the WNBA draft last week, Jasmine Walker. But Jordan Lewis from Orlando, Florida. She is graduate transferring. She got 2 degrees from Alabama. Amazing student. She's one of the best players in Lady Tide history, but she is moving on to play for Kim Mulkey at Baylor and trying to win a national title. It's tough news for Christy Curry when you have Jasmine Walker go pro, and that's great for the program and be the first WNBA draft pick since 2005. But then your 2 other best players decide to transfer to other schools instead of returning to Alabama for another year. Jordan Lewis going to Baylor, and Araya Copeland, the center, the big inside player from Columbus, Georgia, she has already transferred to LSU. So Alabama going to be completely rebuilding, it looks like, under Christy Curry next year for the Lady Tide.
All right, so Joe Lunardi, obviously, you would think this would be vacation time for him. He did it very well.
Busy.
He's staying busy because just like in college football, as soon as you get the national championship game, you start getting the way too early top 25 for the next year. You start getting who's going to, we've already talked about the FPI and the conference and who's going to get into the playoffs and all that. Basketball is the same way. Joe Lunardi has predicted who the top 4 teams are right now. The top 4 teams to get the number 1 seeds for next year's NCAA tournament already. And he says Gonzaga will be a number 1 seed out of the West region. UCLA will be a number 1 seed in the South region. Kansas will be a number 1 seed in the Midwest region. And he says Nate Oates in Alabama will be a number 1 seed in the East region for next season. That's some lofty expectations coming off a phenomenal season.
Yeah, it is. I mean, certainly Nate Oates in year 3, there's going to be a lot of anticipation. Both Alabama and Auburn are going to have great rosters. I know this was before the Desi Sills decision, but Auburn was an 8 seed. I think their roster is going to be strong, so they're going to have a chance to outperform that, certainly. Alabama, I do think they've got a chance to have another special year. We got to see how the chemistry works out and the injuries. I do expect Jaden Shackelford and Josh Primo to come back. I don't blame them for trying to see what they need to work on and where their stock is right now. I don't think either one of them is a first-round pick, but I think they have the ability to be. Same way if Javon Quinterly decides to ultimately declare for the draft without hiring an agent and see where his stock stands. He hasn't done it yet. We don't know if he officially will. It would not be a surprise to anyone, but that's something, that we will be watching, no doubt about it. And speaking of the top, and go ahead, Scott.
Well, so let me ask you this. So these are the way too early top projections. We've talked basketball and we've talked football. So which is more likely to happen, do you think, because of the way too early talk? Alabama, a number 1 seed in football, or Mississippi State, a top 10 team in the country, because that's where the ESPN FPI projected Mississippi State is
Alabama and basketball. Alabama and basketball.
Those were just some of those early projections that we went over.
And speaking of Alabama, I wanted to let everybody know too, come out with us tomorrow. Rodney Orr is going to make the trip from Tuscaloosa to our community here in North Alabama. He will be the featured speaker for the North Alabama Tide Fans group. All we ask is for a small donation for his expenses in speaking. And we're going to have some great fellowship and food out there at the Old Greenbrier. So please come down Old Highway 20 and join us at the Old Greenbrier Barbecue tomorrow. It should start around 6:30. We usually get there around 5:30 and eat and have a lot of conversation. But looking forward to seeing Rodney Orr come down and speak. It's been a couple years since we've had Rodney as our featured speaker, but we're looking forward to hearing his insight into Alabama, spring practice 2021 and A-Day, and of course recruiting, which is, as you know, Scott, we've already talked some of it today. It never stops. And so we're looking forward to Rodney coming down tomorrow.
All right. So 256-576-4977. Again, 256-576-4977. If you want to get in on the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline, you can. We'll take your phone calls now. We got a few more minutes before we start talking Tennessee football, because the Vols have their spring game set for Saturday, and what has been one busy and crazy spring for Josh Heupel. So it all comes to fruition on Saturday as he will have his spring game there. Speaking of college football, ESPN says, hey, these are going to be your toughest schedules for the fall of 2021. So which team has the toughest schedule in the country? Not just the SEC, but in the country this fall? That belongs to Sam Pittman and the Arkansas Razorbacks. According to ESPN FPI, they will have the hardest college football schedule in the fall, with 5 guaranteed matchups versus ranked teams and the possibility of 3 more. So Arkansas will bring home that honor. Number 2 in the country, second hardest schedule, according to ESPN FBI, Drew, the Auburn Tigers and head coach Brian Harsin. They say because of the West and they'll have a pair of tune-up games before the 2021 gets into high gear with Penn State. So they say that Auburn will have the second hardest schedule in the country. Third, Kansas Jayhawks. So the road doesn't get any easier for Kansas. Fourth, Texas.
Who's their coach? I don't even know.
They haven't hired one yet.
Oh, my goodness.
They don't have a full-time one. They've got their interim coach, but they do not have a full-time one.
I guess they're going to just roll with the interim this year.
Well, there's a lot of feeling that they're going to hire a full-time. The AD, I think, wants to hire one before fall, so we'll see.
I would hurry up and do that.
Number 4 is Texas. 5 is TCU. 6 is Iowa State. 7, LSU Tigers. Hardest schedule in the country. The 7th hardest schedule in the country. Followed by West Virginia, Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, number 9. Oklahoma State at 10. So where does Alabama fall in this? ESPN FBI says Alabama has the 13th hardest schedule in the country, followed by Mississippi State at number 14.
There you go.
So there you have it. Rounding out your top 25, Georgia Tech, Nebraska, Florida State at number 20, Tennessee at number 21.
And speaking of Tennessee, that's a perfect segue. We are going to talk to Matt Ray of the Sports Illustrated Network. He is going to join us next to talk some Tennessee Vols recruiting and, some hoops, some baseball, a lot going on. And, of course, as Scott said, upcoming spring game, the first for Josh Heupel. And we're going to talk to him in a few minutes next here on Talkin Ball.
By the way, Zoom has the 25th hardest schedule.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a report of a large sign in the road, 72 and County Line on the westbound side. Got Madison closed between Gates and Southside Square till tomorrow. Indicator Austinville and 14th are down to one lane because of construction. Problems with the traffic signal, Bob Wallace and Sparkman. HPD should be there. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device, insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. Doctor visits are important. Please don't put them off. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville, call 256-713-0575.
The PGA Tour's Korn Ferry Tour is coming to the Rocket City. Join us at the Ledges for the inaugural Huntsville Championship, April 29th through May 2nd. Experience the beauty and drama of the course firsthand. Witness golf's rising stars chase their PGA Tour dreams. Cheer on the future of golf up close and personal. Tickets are on sale now at HuntsvilleChampionship.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Now more of Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Okay, Matt's ready. Here we go.
All right, before the break, we're running down the SEC's hardest schedules for the 2021 season, and coming in at number 21 is the Tennessee Vols and head coach Josh Heupel's first season. A lot of firsts for the Tennessee Vols, including Saturday. Josh Heupel will have his first spring game in what can only be described as a roller coaster of emotions since taking over as head coach of Tennessee.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, we know what all it's been, what all has happened, and we followed the odyssey of Tennessee football, and it seemed to take longer than everyone anticipated to resolve the Jeremy Pruitt era, but it's happened, and now Josh Heupel is getting settled in. We saw what happened at the end of recruiting. There were some things that kind of made us scratch our heads, but it's continued to, and I'll give Josh Heupel credit. He's sticking to his guns. He's doing it his way, and he's added another quarterback. We already heard from Volman. We were talking about that. We talked about it in hour number one. And now our next guest is with us. He's been a very busy man because there's been a ton going on the campus in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he does an amazing job covering the Vols for Sports Illustrated because ever since we featured him, I've just felt like that the knowledge and what he brought to the table was second to none. He does a great job on VR2 on SI, which is part of the SI Now publication and network covering Tennessee athletics, and that's Matt Ray, and he's with us once again on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Matt, you're with Drew and Scott. How are you today?
Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning. Certainly a ton of topics to go over. And, of course, we're going to preview this spring game coming up, the orange and white game on campus at Tennessee this weekend. But we've got to talk a little bit about Rick Barnes and this basketball program, too, because that roster is going to look so much different. But some more big-time talent coming into Tennessee, including a reclassification. Talk about the additions since we last spoke with you to this roster for the Vols.
Yeah, I mean, Rick Barnes has completely revamped his team, and it started with just coaching changes. I mean, honestly, when you kind of look at it, he lost a couple of key pieces, and then the guys that he was able to bring in, were able to make some things work and use relationships. And you get Jonas Adu in the mix, and you get Brandon Huntley Hatfield to reclassify. You're able to get Quentin DeBouge in the 2021 class to go along with Kennedy Chandler and Jemima Shack. And then you get the Powell kid from Auburn who has proved that he can play in the SEC. He's a shooter, which Tennessee really lacked last season. And then you get John Fulkerson back. I mean, this is a roster that's got some veteran talent on it that knows how Rick Barnes wants his program to run. And then you've got some guys that, you could see being one and done. It seems like this could end up being the team that Rick Barnes, I feel like Tennessee came in with, a little bit higher expectations put on them last year than they should have.
Yeah.
It was kind of a rough transition with COVID and, wanting to depend on a couple of freshmen. But this year, it looks like they're going to have these guys full swing. Everything's going to be ready to go. This has a chance to be Rick Barnes' best team yet in Knoxville, and there's already a lot of buzz around his basketball program early on, despite the first-round exit in March.
No doubt. And so that's Tennessee Vol basketball has, I know there was concern and angst because they did not live up to the expectations this year, but certainly now some excitement with the pieces that are falling into place. And as you said, having to replace two assistant coaches but I mean, that's a good problem to have when you have Coach Oliver and Coach English going to George Mason and then to East Tennessee State. That shows that Tennessee, why they've had a strong program the last several seasons under Rick Barnes. And so we're going to continue to monitor that. But as you said, the new staff in place now, the connections they have, their recruiting, at a very high level. And Matt, now to switch gears though, there's been a lot going on in football recruiting for Tennessee as well, as they've begun to kind of add pieces to the puzzle heading into next season.
Yeah, so that started with Elijah Herring last week, and Tennessee able to add the in-state linebacker who could do a lot of different things. Really doesn't have a set position at this point. And that's something I was talking with his high school coach about, and he said the work ethic that Elijah has, when he's able to settle on one position at the college level, you're going to get, an even more, special product on the field. And I think that's obvious, but you have a guy that's balancing so much. He's playing 7-on-7 to work on his hips, being able to drop into coverage and react and read and recognize routes. And then you have, he's running track to improve everything else that he does. So this is a kid that has a lot of work ethic. He's very quiet. He's very reserved. He doesn't, necessarily enjoy the recruiting process, but he's a guy that when you look at what Josh Heupel has said he wanted to do, what Josh Heupel is trying to do with the in-state recruiting class, Elijah Herring is respected by all of his peers because of the way that he handles himself. And that's a big piece for Tennessee to be able to bring in and use to try to get in the ear of some of these guys that maybe aren't looking at them as hard right now. So Elijah Herring, a big piece. And then Vincent Sneed, a kid that he's had his heart set on Tennessee since the first time I really talked to him. It wasn't too long after the initial offer once the staff got there, but Sneed has wanted to come to Tennessee for a while. We actually started working with him on his commitment piece back in March. On March 27th, we were in Orlando for an event. I actually went out, spent time with him and his family. At that point, he wanted to work with us because he knew that he was coming to Tennessee regardless of what went on, and he actually moved his timeline up a little bit, planned to commit around May, but actually ended up pulling the trigger last week to help Tennessee get some momentum going with the spring game coming and everything like that. And Tennessee's continuing to make strides with some of their, top recruits. They're battling for Taven Jackson, the quarterback from Indiana. They really like what he's doing. He likes what he's hearing. They're putting a lot of time in there. Cam Miller, the in-state receiver, was at Alabama this weekend for A-Day. He's supposed to be in Knoxville this weekend for the orange and white game. We'll see what the weather does to the crowd there. It doesn't look like it's going to be a good weekend for the Vols, but in terms of weather. But, he's a guy that Tennessee's battling Alabama, Mississippi State, some other schools for. And, Josh Heupel has led the charge there, and Tennessee seems to be gaining some traction with some of these guys. Saturday's going to be key, regardless of if guys can make it to campus or not. It's going to be on TV. They're going to be able to watch. They're going to be able to see some product on the field finally. And I think that's going to go a long ways for Tennessee.
The Elijah Herring commitment is important if you're a Vols fan, because his younger brother is one of the top rated prospects in the next class, for the up-and-coming class that Tennessee will also want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. Caleb is another defensive product that has a lot of length, is versatile, can do a lot of different things, has some filling out to do, but has an extremely high upside. Another kid, just like his brother, he's kind of quiet, but there's teams that are definitely involved in his recruitment. He has, the Clemsons and Michigans and everybody else like that making contact with him. So that's some recruitment that's going to be interesting to watch for the Vols. But when you have a sibling in the class, that generally seems to help.
Yeah, it really does. And then no doubt, Matt, that there's a lot of positive momentum going on right now. Give us the look behind the curtain with the addition of Joe Milton. I think it surprised a few people because Tennessee's got 4 QBs. Now we know Caden Salter's situation is up in the air. He's got to get that resolved, and he's a unique talent in his own right as a freshman. But what in your mind? What was the decision to bring in Joe Milton? Is it one of those things where Josh Heupel isn't satisfied with where his other QBs are, needs more competition, or just kind of what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Tennessee was. I think the Tennessee coaching staff was very transparent in the process there, bringing in Milton. They sat their quarterbacks down, discussed, what was going on, that they were looking at the transfer portal. Milton had visited campus, so, guys knew. He was kind of talking to some guys on his own. And I don't think it really caught the team by surprise as much as it did, some people outside of Tennessee world. But he, he's just a guy that I feel like Tennessee can't afford not to take if he's willing to come there at this stage. Talking about a guy that's got 3 years of eligibility remaining. He can do a lot of different things. What was the fit like for him at Michigan? I think is the biggest question. I think people are saying, well, he couldn't get the job done at Michigan, but this Josh Heupel offense is a lot different. So you're just talking about a guy that in today's world with how unstable quarterback rooms can be, that I think Tennessee couldn't afford not to take. Obviously the Caden Salter situation, we'll see how that plays out. There's been a lot of mixed signals there on if he'll be back, if he won't be back. But with Milton, you're talking about a guy who's coming, he's ready to work, he's got 3 years. And if he wins the job, doesn't win the job, what is the likelihood that somebody else in that quarterback room leaves? So if you don't get Salter back and you don't add Milton, then all of a sudden you've only got, and somebody leaves, then you've got, 2 scholarship quarterbacks, So I think for Tennessee it was just a really low-risk security blanket. In a lot of ways, they're able to take a guy that's got a lot of high upside, that has started games, knows how to come in, work, and there's not a lot of risk involved in taking him.
Does Josh Heupel hit that transfer portal then really hard after Saturday's game to try to kind of shore up, especially that linebacker position and other kind of soft spots in that lineup?
Yeah, certainly. I think Tennessee has to hit the transfer portal hard after the conclusion of spring here. They've talked to, a lot of guys that have entered of late. I think they could probably add another cornerback. They've at least had conversations with a couple of different defensive linemen, a couple of different linebackers. So, yeah, that's definitely a situation to monitor. But, yeah, I would be thoroughly surprised if Josh Heupel doesn't hit the transfer portal pretty hard, here post-spring.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that they've got position needs, especially along the defensive front seven, as you said, defensive line and linebacker. I guess heading into this orange and white game, this coaching staff, from what we hear, we've been talking to you, we've been talking to Vince Ferrara, it's a lot more open. They've given more access. What is your after you've seen this staff work, Matt, and you've been following this spring, what's your biggest takes on the squad heading into this orange and white game coming up on Saturday at 3 Central Time?
Yeah, these guys they've been very open, had a lot of access. We've had the chance to talk to coaches on at least 3 times a week, probably through the spring here, and I think that's going to continue for Tennessee. I don't think Josh Heupel has anything that he really needs to hide. I think that he knows he can use the positive media in any way that he can. But these guys, for me, the biggest takeaway is kind of how they've just meshed together and been pretty cohesive. They do a lot of different things. You heard about what Danny White did at UCF in terms of the camaraderie between all the athletic programs, and you're already seeing that at Tennessee this weekend. Basketball program out supporting the baseball team, football program out supporting the baseball team, coaches from each program out there almost every day in between practices doing whatever to get out and support the baseball team. So you're starting to kind of see that. And for me, I think with the staff that Josh Heupel has assembled, these guys have really came together and meshed well. They're working well together. The offensive and defensive coaches getting along, doing, being on the same page about a lot of different stuff. I don't necessarily feel like you always saw that with Jeremy Pruitt's staff. And for me, that's been the biggest thing, because everything came together so quickly for Josh Heupel's staff. For the longest time, it was just Josh Heupel up there. And then guys started to trickle in. The defensive coordinator search waged on, but credit Tim Banks for getting in, hitting the ground running, and the defense has made a lot of strides this spring. So going into the orange and white game, I think everybody's going to be really interested to see how these guys coach in a game situation. We've had a chance to watch them in open practice, but how are they going to coach in a game situation? How are things going to look there? I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be very exciting for Tennessee fans to get out there and see the Josh Heupel era kick off. He's going to throw the football around, and they've got some playmakers on both sides of the ball. The defense is going to play, aggressive, play a turnover-happy style where they're going to take risk, and you're going to see his offense exploit that sometimes. So it should be an interesting spring game for Tennessee on Saturday.
Yeah, what's the format for the spring game? How are they deciding to do it?
I haven't heard a solid plan for how they're deciding to do it at this point. I'm interested to see that when the time does come.
Yeah.
Just because they're so thin at so many positions. At the open practice, you had 2 scholarship inside linebackers, and then the guys behind those were walk-on or former walk-on that are on scholarships now. So you're kind of beat up in places. They've had a few minor setbacks and injuries over the past week. So I'm interested to see how they handle their spring game, what they're going to do. Will they do a full game with a 15-minute running clock like that only stops for timeouts or scores? Will they break that up into some kind of a Pascal-y 7v7 setting? I don't know. I'm interested to see how Tennessee does that so far, but I haven't seen anything that has detailed how they're planning to do it yet.
Well, and Matt, speaking of baseball, what a crazy environment it was. We saw the video you guys posted. I mean, there was people everywhere around Lindsey Nelson Stadium. That was as big a baseball series as they've probably ever had on campus at Tennessee. In the series really lived up to the hype. I mean, we saw Tennessee give Jack Leiter a loss. I know Rocker was really tough, and it was a difficult loss on Sunday, but the Vols competed. But what a series and what an environment on campus in Knoxville last weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jake is covering the baseball program for us. Jake Nichols does a great job, and he was out early at every game, and he sent me a text message and said, "I'm about to send you a video." He said, "I think this may be the best atmosphere pregame that I've saw for a baseball series yet," and it was, and it did live up to the hype. And I think you see a combination of things with it being Vanderbilt for one, a chance to see Kumar Rocker, and then that it's a top 5 matchup, and this baseball team has so much fight in them, and they've been finding ways to win, and they do it in a lot of different fashions. So it was a very exciting time for Tony Vitello's program, and you have to think that he's worked his way towards getting paid very soon.
You would think so, no doubt. I mean, what he's done really is amazing. The first time Tennessee's really been, this big a national factor since the salad days of Rod Delmonico when they made trips to Omaha. But, yeah, the Vols right now, one of the best teams in the country, and certainly, gave Vandy all they wanted last weekend. And then would look to be a program that could potentially be a national seed, and of course a regional host. And then finally, for me, for the orange and white game, you mentioned recruiting a little bit. You mentioned the young man that's the wide receiver going to make the trip, hopefully, for this orange and white game. I know the weather could play a factor, but what is the recruiting outlook this weekend for Tennessee?
Yeah, so we're expecting at least a few visitors for Tennessee to come through campus this weekend. You got Brody Foley, a tight end from Ohio that Tennessee really likes. It should come up. There's some, in-state guys that have kicked around the idea of coming up to the open practice. I think that they, guys like Giovanni Davis and Isaiah Horton, you might see those guys come through this week. Again, I think it does kind of depend on the weather. I think when I looked at it last night, it says 100%, so I've kind of learned that in East Tennessee that either means snow, that either means it's going to snow or the sun's going to be out. But, for the most part, I think, if the chances of that rain decreases, I think you'll see some guys come out. I think you'll see some surprise visitors maybe come in that are close enough to be able to make the trip. Rivals camp in Georgia is going on Saturday and Sunday, so that's going to derail Tennessee just a little bit in terms of seeing some visitors from surrounding states come in because of the timing of that camp. But I still think you're going to see a pretty decent turnout for the Vols on Saturday.
Well, great stuff as always from Matt Ray. Matt, let everybody know how to connect with you, and of course, VR2 on SI, your great publication that covers everything Tennessee.
Yeah, you can find me at Matt Ray SI on Twitter, and then you can find us at VR2 on SI on all social media.
Well, Matt, we always appreciate it, man. Great info, great stuff on the Vols. We'll definitely be talking again soon. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Guys, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Good stuff there, Tennessee. Josh Heupel, first spring game on Saturday. Let's get our final break in. When we come back, tomorrow's headlines today. And if you got phone calls, it's time to do it.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We've made it through the morning with no major problems. Traffic signal problem. Bob Wallace and Sparkman trying to get it taken care of. Construction in Decatur, Austinville, and 14th. They're down to one lane there. And downtown, they have Madison closed between Gates and Southside Square. Expert Heart Care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the Heart Doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
It just works. Picture this. You're at home, doing whatever it is you do. Then, the power goes out. Then what? Well, at my house, life goes on. We have a Generac automatic home standby generator from Current Electrical and Generator Services. For your home security and peace of mind, get a free personal consultation on how a Generac automatic home standby generator can protect you. Current Electrical and Generator Services. Call or visit us on the web at HuntsvilleGenerators.com. You've got the power.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
If you're ready to lower your utility bill, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment in 3 to 6 months. That means the insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. From today's headlines to the guests you want to hear from.
Who wants to party?
Listen in and join in.
All right, 9 minutes. 9 minutes.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Time keeps on slipping, slipping. Time keeps on slipping away. Before you know it, we will have the field of 64 in college baseball. We are a little less than 6 weeks away from the field of college baseball, but we are less than that from knowing who is going to host regionals, because in just a couple weeks, they're going to announce who's going to host, because those are going to be testing sites for all the teams, and they got to get all the information ready. According to Baseball America, right now, 9 SEC teams are set to be announced in the field of 64. That includes Alabama. Right now, Baseball America has Alabama in the field of 64 as a 3 seed in the Texas Tech Regional, Lubbock, Texas, where it'd be Texas Tech, Stanford, Alabama, and Southeast Missouri State.
Well, you almost cursed them yesterday, Scott. I did. Now, I cursed Will Reichert, but you almost cursed Alabama baseball. But credit to UNA for playing them off their feet. Been a tough year for the Lions, but they led throughout most of the ball game. Grayson Hitt started, couldn't get out of the first inning. It was 3-0 UNA. Alabama tied it at 3. Then UNA went back ahead 5-3 before the Tide managed to tie it at 5 in the 7th inning. And then UNA takes a 6-5 lead in the 8th. Bama answers with 3 in the bottom of the 8th, and they win it 8-6. But a great performance from UNA. Alabama now will head to Lexington, Kentucky to take on Jeff and the Burroughs boys. That'll be a tough series, both 7 and 8 in the Southeastern Conference with Nick Mingione. That's going to be a tough environment. With that beautiful new ballpark. It really still really very new for UK. They've upgraded their facility tremendously. So going to be an interesting series, and you'll hear that on 97.7 The Zone this weekend.
Auburn got the midweek win over Samford yesterday as well. Mm-hmm. But Baseball America has Mississippi State, Tennessee, South Carolina, Vandy, and Arkansas all earning home regional sites.
Yep.
So that is, like I said, we are just a couple weeks away from them announcing who's going to host regionals because of COVID testing and everything like that. They've got to get all these sites prepared and ready for that. So we're going to know the regional sites before the field is actually announced. And we're about 6 weeks away from the field of 64 being announced for collegiate baseball.
And I know we were discussing this off the air, but some very entertaining high school baseball last night. I mean, my goodness, what a rivalry. We know that Huntsville and Grissom is. Coach Blake Talley, they've had a really nice year going to go to the playoffs, but they were up 8-0 in the 6th inning at home against their rivals, the Huntsville Crimson Panthers, under Luke Lamb. And the Crimson Panthers scored 9 runs in the 6th inning and go on to win that game 9-8, a huge area win. Huntsville's still, I think they're playing the spoiler role this year, but what a win last night for Huntsville. And then over at Toyota Field, the James Clemens Jets do a great job, get a huge win over an outstanding program led by Jared Smith and the Bob Jones Patriots as they win that game 8-4. And that sets up high drama tonight, Scott, over at Bob Jones, because winner goes to the playoffs as the runner-up to Florence. The loser goes home between the James Clemens Jets and Bob Jones. So you think there might be a crowd over there and a little bit of emotion.
Yeah. All right. Hey, earlier in the show, you had somebody talking to you about Devontae Smith's weight and everything.
Yeah.
Well, Cameron Wolf. Isn't this funny? Cameron Wolf is on the same brainwave as us here on our show this morning. Says Devontae Smith plays bigger, tougher, and more effective against press on tape than some of the 200-pound wide receivers in this class.
Thank you.
Not certain where he goes, but if he drops out of the top 10, 12 picks, then one lucky team is getting
a lot of people will be fired. That's what will happen because they're stupid, and they will all get moron awards, one at a time. Draft the guy, watch the tape. Don't be a moron. It's not hard. Don't be Colin Cowherd.
That sounds like one of those anti-drug commercials back in the 80s.
And first of all, I also, before we go here, I do want to give our good friend Charlie Plott a plug. We'll see him next week at the Huntsville Championship. We know that. He has several clients that will be playing in that event. But tonight, remember, he's been on with us. We were previewing the Masters and reviewing it.
Yes.
But remember that tonight he will have his webinar, Shorten the Learning Curve, Wednesday tonight, this evening, April the 21st from 7 to 8 Central. It will be a free webinar presented by the newly revamped Plott Performance, featuring, of course, Charlie, who's a mental game coach, who's a consultant to the 2008 Ryder Cup team, and Brian Smith, the Plott Performance Certified Golf Instructor, will be with him tonight, and you can develop your skills faster, transfer training to the course, and as they say, swing it your way, and you can register at www.plottperformance.com. But again, 7 to 8 tonight, the Shorten the Learning Curve golf webinar put on by Plot Performance. Wanted to give them a plug there because they're obviously a lot smarter than some of these idiots in the NFL.
And then the other thing that I got to get to, and I saw this yesterday, and I know you saw it as well. Vince Marrow, the Kentucky.
He had some of Jeff's moonshine. This is great.
He said he was on a radio show up there, I believe in Lexington, and it was on Just the Cats. It's an hour radio show up there in Lexington. And they got to talking about recruiting in the State of Union as far as Kentucky football
and they're
goes.
on the fire right now. They got Kenyatta Goodwine. They got the Wade brothers.
Oh, no, they're not brothers. They're twins.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, he says, we're really starting to get the national respect. He says, here's how you know when you get other schools negative recruiting us and saying this coach may leave or these guys are loaded at that position. He says, I'm going to be honest with you. That's the kind of crap I used to say about Alabama and Ohio State. I'm not saying we're Alabama or Ohio State, but we're damn near close.
What is your definition of close? That's all I gotta say. Now I know, and we love John Summerall first.
Yes, we do.
But we understand they were affected by COVID. But it was 62-3. It wouldn't have mattered what the hell happened, whether COVID was there or not. They getting blasted. Now they're finally, I think, taking their offense from out of the Stone Ages, and going to try to supplement a physical running game with actually being able to complete a forward pass. Because they haven't been able to do so. Because if Mac Jones had gone to Kentucky, he certainly would have been the starter. But I very seriously doubt he'd be about to be a first-round draft choice. Okay? So I'm anxious to see Joey Gatewood, what they do with him. Bo Allen. Who's going to be the starter? What is the offense going to look like? Stoops has done a really nice job making them competitive and a consistent bowl team.
Yes.
But if you're talking about playing in the same stratosphere with Ohio State and Alabama, this ain't basketball, brothers.
Well, do you think he's just talking about the recruiting as well?
Yeah, I mean, their recruiting right now is on fire. Like we said, they got the Wade twins. And then they got. They're
not brothers?
Whatever. And then they got Kenyatta Goodwine. This is a big time offensive tackle from the state of Indiana. So their recruiting is getting better. We've said that. But offensively, they've got to improve. But we want to thank Matt Ray. We want to thank Mike Detillier. It's been a fun show. Grady the Great, great job.
Grady the Great. Yes, go to our Facebook page. Go check out the Rocket City Trash Panda Mosaic. Grady's third grade class, the fourth grade class there. 30 made this mosaic. 266 Rubik's Cubes make a Trash Panda Mosaic. Give them the votes. Give them the likes. They need it. They're in a contest with other schools from across the country in this. So go help Grady the Greek out, please.
Cesar, Joe Honk in an hour at 10. Then we're going to be having the drive tonight at 5 p.m. and we'll join the Braves and the Yankees in progress. It was an F for the Braves last night. We'll see if they bounce back this evening.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances.